Testing, one, two, three. Test. Top of the morning, family and friends, those who are Zooming in today. Thank you, Joyce, for that beautiful number. We're here today to honor, to bless, to celebrate a beautiful life. John Sylvestor, a beautiful life well lived, a life that touched many other people's lives. It's always an honor and a blessing to come together and celebrate a life. Let us pray. Thank you, sweet Spirit, for this day, for this time and place of honoring John Sylvestor, our spiritual brother, a spiritual leader, teacher. We're so blessed for the memories that have been made. And in this sacred time today, we're grateful to honor and bless and celebrate his beautiful life. And so it is. Amen. When I am blessed to have the opportunity to officiate a celebration of life service, I always ask the person, what would you have me say? What would you like the others to hear? And it's very interesting sometimes. It's things that I would not have thought of. So what I'm going to share with you today, it came from John. God is but love, and therefore so am I. This self alone knows love. This self alone is perfectly consistent in its thoughts, knows its creator, understands itself, is perfect in its knowledge and in its love, and never changes from its constant state of union with its Father and itself. So this comes from Course in Miracles, Volume 2, workbook. I never bought this book, but it was on my bookshelf. So I'm grateful to share that with you today, and I felt that was what John wanted to be shared. I want to share a reading with you entitled All Around You. Denise Wheeler wrote this decade or more ago and gave us all permission to change it. So we have modified it. All around you. Do not mourn my passing, though I'm out of sight, because I'm all around you, to your left and to your right. I'm closer than your breathing, more near than hands and feet. I'm the love inside your heart and the thoughts you keep. I am in the winds that blow and in the sunset's evening glow. With being myself, I left my mark upon the world and on your hearts. The things that meant the most to me, being at peace, fishing, and boating on the sea. The Spirit of God has made me. The Spirit gave me life, and now it leads me onward to a place free of strain and strife. I know I wasn't perfect, and no one ever is. Some of my greatest challenges became God's greatest gifts. So do not mourn my passing now that I'm out of sight. I loved you all in my own way, and believe it or not, things turned out okay. Do not mourn my adventure, though I'm out of sight. There's great love here, and people dear, and I am in the light. And I want to share a little story before I proceed. And this goes back to the end of the 1980s, last century. And John had invited a few of us to go on his boat over to Sanibel Lighthouse for a kite flying for peace. And I've never been to a kite flying for peace. And we met him at a dock over in the Cape, and there were 3 of us. And he told us to kind of hang on when we were coming into the lighthouse area, because that could be a little turbulent. He had great command of the boat, and fortunately, none of us fell out. That day, there were some of the most beautiful kites, and they just spread out, and you could see the beautiful blue sky behind it. And they had peace written across the kites. It was just a beautiful spiritual experience of many people that had come from all around to fly their kites. And that story made me also think of a grandfather that was flying his kite with his grandson. And he was just there supporting him. And the kite went all the way out of sight from where they were. And the grandfather said, "Well, how do you know you still have the kite?" And he said, "I feel the tug." So I felt there's a kind of important message there as well, because sometimes when we're walking by faith, we don't see the ending, but we feel that beautiful presence. James Dillard Freeman wrote The Traveler back years ago as well, and I want to share that with you. He has put on invisibility, dear Lord, I cannot see, but this I know, although the road ascends and travels from my sight, there will be no night, that you will take him gently by the hand and lead him along the road that never ends. And he will find it is not death, but dawn. I do not doubt that you are there as here, and you will hold him dear. Our life did not begin with birth. It is not of this earth. And this that they call death is no more than the opening and closing of a door. And in your house, how many rooms must be beyond this one where we rest momently? Dear Lord, I thank you for the faith that frees, the love that knows it cannot lose its own, and looking through the shadows sees that you and he and I are ever one. As we go through this time together today, you may feel emotion of tears, and you may feel the emotion of laughter, and all of it is good and it's wonderful, because we each process in our own different ways. So be very comfortable with however you feel today. We often see when it's advertised, we see the year a person was born, and we have a little dash, and then we see the year and date of their passing. So Linda Ellis wrote this some years ago, and what matters most of all is the dash between those years. The dash represents all the time that we spend alive on earth, and now only those who love him know exactly what that little dash is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the houses, the cash. What matters is how we live and how we love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. If there are things you'd like to change, for you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved them before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last for a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Amy, the brother of the sister of John, had asked me today that after our message, and Joyce plays, that we're going to have 5 minutes of silent meditation for reflection. So I wanted to share some thoughts with you this morning about life, about living, about this special time that we come together with family, with friends, with the memories that we make. In unity, we refer to this time when we complete this time on earth. We think of it as a transition. It is rare that you hear people in unity say someone died. It sounds very final. But in unity, we know that life is eternal. And often I think of it from the perspective of an envelope, that our consciousness, our soul, is the content. And we lay down that envelope, and that beautiful consciousness continues right on eternally. And today I hope you will feel very comforted with that thought and with that idea. We're all energy. And that beautiful energy, that Christ Spirit, was very prevalent during John's life. But it still continues on. And we find comfort in that understanding and in that knowing. We think about it as change. Sometime in our human experience, we don't like the word, do we? We like things comfortable. But our whole existence in this dimension is about change. From the time of conception, the little embryo is changing. When you look at it through ultrasound, you can see the changes taking place. Then we have the birth of the child. And here it is. They're stretching. It looks like every day they're growing. They're changing. Next thing you know, they're a little toddler and they're walking, and you got to lock everything up. And they continue to grow, go to school. We experienced a teenager of them, young adult, middle-aged adult, ageless adult. So in throughout our lives, we are seeing change, 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 and more change. And this, what we call transition, is one more change. A place of pain-free, a place of peace, a place of unconditional love, contentment, being. And the beautiful thing, it's my experience, that love transcends all dimensions. And today, during this time, we can send the love from our hearts to our spiritual brother, John, today. And that love can be felt. And that's very comforting for us in this dimension to know that they're just a thought away. And that when we think of them, we can send that love. This loving soul, this loving heart and responsive mind, it's a quality that God expressed through the heart and mind as we grow to admire a person. The qualities are spiritual. These qualities are faith, of strength, of love, of patience, of kindness, understanding, cheerfulness, sincerity. He achieved many designations during his lifetime here on earth. And he has now reached another designation, moving to another goal revealed by Jesus the Christ. The goal of standing forth in the perfection in which God made us in his image and in his likeness. And I want to share with you a quote by another person who so loved Course in Miracles, Emily Loeb. It's a quote from Emily. Our paths will cross again, and our hearts will touch. Our souls will shout with joy as we recall the lives we've lived, the worlds we've seen, the ways we've trod to find ourselves at last in God. And many of you may know John's history, but I'm going to share just a couple of things that Amy sent to me. He was of Cape Coral and also of Sanibel. He was a veteran of the Navy. He's survived by his siblings, Jane, who's in California, Amy, New Hampshire, and Philip in Oregon, as well as their children, John's grandnieces, and many friends he cherished here, which he called his local family. He was a self-proclaimed freelance philosopher. He was a seeker who in his final days shared that he now embodied the love he had been seeking and that he felt gratitude, grace, and peace. What a grand achievement. have 5 minutes of silence. The beautiful thing about sitting in the silence, we're always changed by it, aren't we? A wonderful change takes place. We're going to have some shared memories, and this one comes from John's sister, Amy, who's watching today. She says, "Hello, and thank you for coming to John's memorial. I'm his little sister, Amy, 5 years younger, and one of 4 children in the Sylvestor clan. The bond that John and I shared was real, and it was strong, always, but especially in the last 6 or 7 years. And I miss him terribly. I really do. As John was always deeply interested in his whole and forgiven and peaceful and spiritual self. We had many lively conversations on spirituality together, and there is no doubt that his great contemplations over decades had brought him to a place of peace concerning dying. I am grateful for his guidance, his love, his sense of humor, and so much more. His Florida family was very important to him. This I know for sure, and I thank all of you deeply for caring for him through hurricanes, through holidays, and other hours of need, as well as many happy hours of boating, fishing, laughing, and sharing. He was an excellent teacher and a caring brother and a genuinely sweet man. Thank you again for joining in this celebration today of his life." Thank you, Amy, for sharing it. Jim Toth had written some memories that he asked me to share. In my experience, John was a brilliant man with a great sense of humor and a wonderful friend. Anna and I first met him at Unity many years ago when he attended the Course in Miracles discussion group. We did not know him well until the COVID epidemic forced us to conduct our meetings on Zoom. As we talked on Zoom and had easier access to each other, we started to find we had more and more interests in common with John. We introduced him to the teachings of the Franciscan work, Richard Rohr, and he loved it. We started doing weekly Zoom meetings with John to discuss Rohr's deep and inspiring view of Christianity. When Reverend Carla started a class on the writings of Joel Goldsmith, John knew about Goldsmith and joined that class, as Anna and I did. We all were in awe of Goldsmith's deep sense of understanding, of experience in God's presence in our lives. When I decided to teach a Zoom course about Ken Wilber's integral spirituality, John was first to sign up and became the most enthusiastic student. John consistently shared helpful insights in each of the discussion groups. He also liked to playfully share his favorite jokes. He was such a great partner to share our spiritual journey. We greatly miss John's presence in our lives. Few days before his passing, John told us that he realized that he is much more than just a physical body, and that he was at peace with leaving his body behind. And what a wonderful gift. Perhaps it's one of the things that many people fear most. And to be able to be making that journey with complete peace. What a blessing. I would like at this time to invite Barbara to come up. we received through technology a last-minute shared memory, and Barb is going to share it with us.
Yes, I'm Barb Woods, and I was in the same class with the Toths, as was Debbie Rosales and her husband David, and Debbie was moved to send this. My husband and David and I were lucky enough to share 3 Zoom book club calls with John for quite a while. He was such a light to us. He was a student of the Course in Miracles and could quote readings from this book like an esteemed scholar. He loved Jayam of the Shanti Christo Foundation and Joel Goldsmith. We were together in spirit as we shared these 3 book clubs with him. What a joy this was. Toward the end of his life, he would tell us, "I am fine with letting go of my physical body. Do not worry about me. I rest in whatever God has in store for me, and all is well. Remember, I am so ready, so it is fine." He would then smile, that impish, beautiful grin of his. And actually, to my way of thinking, when he would say those things, he looked like a little kid that had just been given a puppy. He just radiated. And going on with what Debbie said, yesterday on Jim and Anna's beautiful Friday night book club, we read this, and I felt as though he was saying these words to me. So I would like to share them with you now. It is from The Way of Mastery, page 306. Death has occurred, and now the birth of Christ is at hand. Father, I accept fully your will for me. Your will is only that I be happy and use this time to extend my treasure. Now I receive the warmth of your light and your love. Peace be with you always, and always I am with you. Amen. Debbie.
Thank you, Bob. Does anyone else have a shared memory that you wish to share with us at this time? Angela, so wonderful to see you.
Thank you. Before 2012, the world started this movement for peace, and it was called Diksha Blessings. And Sylvester and I were very involved. John and I, we got, sorry, I'm a little emotional. We got the training in Naples. I met my first Diksha with Christina in Nashville. And then when I got here, we started looking for. So I got permission to have meetings here in this church at the chapel with Reverend Jim. And John Sylvestor got a permission to have on Thursdays in Cape Coral. So until 2012, we started way before. So he attended here on Tuesday. We attended there on Thursday. And not everybody actually knew that or were involved. And it was a wonderful time. And then in 2012, we were supposed to reach the spiritual development in the world, and would be no need to continue. If we wanted, we could. And we continued for a few months, and then was sporadically, and then went off. And we attended many classes together in here at this church. And we had some sort of good communication through email, sometimes messages, and just unfortunately went away during the pandemic where everybody was scattered. And I was really surprised to hear about his transition. But I'm pretty sure he's happy where he is. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Does anyone else have a memory that you wish to share? I want to share with you a couple of things as we conclude. There is a peace that Christ bestows upon us. The gift of Christ is all I seek today. Conflicting wishes cannot be my will. This instant, is the only time there is. I invite you now to stand, and we're going to do our prayer protection 2 ways. We're going to do the light of God surrounds you. We're going to do it for John. Then we're going to do it for us. So please stand. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. And the presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The light of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. We're so grateful for all our volunteers today that helped make this possible. We're grateful for you, family, that have joined us today, and those of you here in the sanctuary. Thank you so much for coming. And in the back in the suite, we have some sliders, some fruits and vegetables. So please make your way back there as you continue to share your wonderful stories and memories. Blessings to you all.